you, my audience. All right, is it a style or am I just sad? Well, when you think of emos, you may think skinny jeans, dark clothing, face piercings. Pop culture has portrayed emos as depressed or even suicidal crybabies with way too much eyeliner. Although the eyeliner may be true for my case, the subculture is way more and has appealed to youth for decades. Today I want to talk about that subculture. First, I want to talk about what is the subculture. Then I want to discuss stereotypes that are heavily associated with the subculture. And then last, I want to bring up points for why we should look past these stereotypes. So the emo subculture is a music-based subculture, not fashion-based. It does have fashion traits that a lot of emos share and attitudes that a lot of emos share, but it is solely music. According to So Emo UK, which is a website that serves as a hub for emo discussions and forums, they have on their homepage, what is emo? They discuss that emo stands for emotional hardcore, and it deviated from the punk rock scene by focusing on lyrics that focus on human turmoil. They're melancholic and an overall angst to them. However, now, since then, emo music is a lot more broad. They can have different sounds and different styles, but they do share that emotional turmoil that separated from the punk scene still today. Talking about emo style is still heavily influenced by punk rock bands. So ripped skinny jeans, any kind of skater shoes, dark clothing, all of that is very much true about the emo style and the emo attitude. So emo attitudes, they tend to be very open towards darker subjects, according to Understanding Death, Suicide, Self-Injury Among Adolescents of the Youth Subcultures, a quantitative study. They had surveyed goers to emo rock bands, concerts, and showed that a lot of the people that went there are very open to subjects of depression and suicide. Now on the subject of suicide, I'd like to transition to the stereotypes of, unfortunately, suicide is one of the most extreme stereotypes that emos do face. And there is a little bit of truth to that. I had found a lot of articles that showed, unfortunately, a link to that kind of stuff. So one article I found are emos, goths, and rockers at risk of self-harm and suicide. There is a correlation to those affiliated with those three subcultures that there are 3 times more likely to self-harm and 6 times more likely to attempt suicide. Whether or not being associated with these groups, like the groups influence it, or people who are already considering these topics go towards people that are more accepting of it, is being debated. However, regardless of if the subculture influences it or people who are seeking that kind of community, there is a lot of harm done by this stereotype. Emos are seen as the face of suicide, and suicide is a very emotionally charged topic that it kind of puts a target on the backs of people that even look like they enjoy the kind of music. They dress darker. So like for me personally, I have heard a lot of very, very serious bullying, and I have been asked if I had a barcode wrist. A barcode wrist implies that I have so many slits on my wrist that if I were to scan it, it would work like a barcode. There is a little bit of irony in that kind of bullying, because in that does bullying, there's tons and tons of studies done that bullying actually leads to things like self-harm and suicide. According to the relations between self-harm and bullying behavior, people who are victims of bullying are 6 times more likely to attempt suicide and self-harm. So it is a little bit ironic, but mostly just tragic. And I want to transition to breaking stereotypes. For any one culture, there's going to be stereotypes. However, no culture should be summarized because it erases all nuance to any group or faction of people. This look also is not exclusive to emos. Punk rock, metalheads, a lot of this kind of style goes for all of them, and that just broadens the group of people that could be bullied and increases the risk of these kinds of unfortunate situations. And the emo community really leaves open to people that are going through hard times. It is highly likely that they really are seeking community when they're listening to these songs that focus on sadder topics, and it allows them to open up. Wanted to conclude with, there is so much more to just any kind of subculture, and everyone who inside the subculture has their own fashion, own taste, their own attitudes. So not one should be judged or assumed to have these extreme ideals, especially towards something like suicide, or even something smaller like fashion or being overly dramatic. When you look past stuff like that, you'll be able to see more about the person, and probably reduce the chances of something like suicide or self-harm. Thank you.